Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on the Fieros and we're going to be doing a little upgrade to the car. Well, if you want to call it an upgrade, it's something that's been sorely lacking in the car for a while and shows every time I open the trunk lid. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. We received a package today in the mail that I've been waiting for a few days. Our ACC custom carpets from the Fiero store for the trunk of the T-top car. So I'm going to take you through the whole unboxing here so you guys can see exactly what you'll get if you order it, and then we'll do the install once we give the carpet a little bit of time to breathe. So come along with me. We're going to open it up and show you exactly what you'll get when you order this.
Alright guys, let's go over the tools we're going to need for this job. The first thing we're going to need is an 11mm socket, a 10mm socket, a 10mm wrench, a panel popper tool, and a small prying tool. All of this is going to be necessary to install this carpet. So let's get started with the carpet.
Okay guys, this is our entire carpet spread out on the floor here. Well, we're going to leave it here for a bit because we want to let it breathe. We want to let it unfold, and hopefully some of the wrinkles come out of it as it sits there and just expands outward. But we'll take a little look at it now. Now the first thing you'll notice is that, yeah, the color is not the same as the original. So as you can see here, the original is this almost salt and pepper like coloring, while this is a solid gray. Now maybe that the original is no longer available, that material, which if it isn't, then it is what it is. The edges here are not exactly the straightest cut edges here, so I'm going to have to see how that's going to look when it's in the car, because that I'm hoping will line up evenly against the trunk sill. Alright guys, we have it spread out here on the hood of the rat, just so that we can get a really good look and see what we're dealing with. Now if you look carefully here, you can see that it does have a light molding pressed into it for the shape of the trunk lid of the trunk itself. This ribbed molding that's in the trunk sheet metal is represented here, so that should hopefully conform to the shape of the trunk itself. As I said earlier, it's a very heavy rubber back material. There is some of the jute lining at the bottom here to cushion the bottom of it, but you will be cutting out your own opening for your lights. If you have the T-tops like I do, you're going to be cutting opening all the bolt mounting points for the retaining straps that hold the T-tops in the trunk. You'll be cutting open your hole for your striker, the holes for the mounting for the pins that hold the trunk lid against the carpeting against the trunk wall. So yeah, you're gonna have to do quite a bit of work, as this thing is not really cut precisely for the trunk. It is molded to the trunk. We'll have to see how well it fits, but there is all sorts of work that's going to have to be done in order to make it fit the trunk, which is, you know, pretty normal for a lot of these aftermarket carpets. They're not all made specifically to fit every nook and cranny of the car, and you kind of have to modify them a little bit. Alright guys, it's now day number 2. we let the carpet sit out and air out for a bit before I decided to just come in here and start changing everything. So now we're going to start with removing the trunk in the Fiero's carpet. Now the first thing we have to do is remove our T-tops. If you have T-tops, this is what you're going to want to start with. If you don't have them, you don't even have to worry about this. So first thing we're going to do is remove the strap holding the T-tops in place. And then get the T-tops out of the trunk. So now we're just looking at the trunk itself, and we're going to start removing our trunk liner. Now, for the T-top cars, the first thing you're going to want to do is remove your T-top straps. You have the one here against the firewall, and if we look down in here, we have one on each side, or one bolt on each side holding in the lower strap. As the T-top straps consist of two parts, the lower strap and the upper strap, which are combined to hold your T-tops in place. So we're going to need to remove these nuts here, these bolts here, before we do anything else. Now this first bolt goes through the firewall to a nut on the opposite side. And then we just remove the strap. And of course the second bolts are a different size than the first. The first one was a 10 millimeter. The lower bolts are 11 millimeter. Why? Don't know. Probably whatever they had lying on the shelf. Second bolt also goes through to a nut that's underneath the trunk. That's why you can do this by yourself if you don't have a helper. Take a wrench, put it around the nut, and wedge it up against the exhaust. Otherwise, you're going to have to ask for help. All right. All right. Now the next step we're going to have to do is we're going to have to pull the trunk light out. Now this is going to be the very, very, very tricky, because this plastic at this point is extremely brittle. There's a tab here which locks it into place. So you're going to have to pry out on this edge here and try and get it out without breaking that tab. Odds are it's probably going to break. Good news is the Fiero store sells reproductions. Very carefully. There we go. And we got it out without breaking it. I'd like to say that's tons of experience and years of training, but that was just mostly luck. All right, now we'll just pop our electrical connector off. Again, these tabs are very brittle, so very, very carefully and gently pry against it until you can get your light fixture out. And it's probably going to need a new bulb. Okay, next thing you'll need to do is remove these panel poppers, and they'll probably break on you just like that one did, because these are very old and very brittle. Just gently try. There we go. And gently, gently. There we go. And gently, gently. There we go. Now, the next step is we're going to remove our trunk seal. We're going to put this to the side. And now, all you have to do is lift the carpet out. Pull it back from the firewall. There we go. If yours is the original carpet that has never been removed, it may fight you just a little bit, as it's been in here for in the neighborhood of around almost 40 years. And there we go. This one is welded to the frame because of the heat from the bracket that holds down your T-tops. So now we can just peel it out. Forgot all about that one. Okay, guys, that's it. The trunk carpeting is out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to clean out the inside of the trunk before we lay the new carpet in. And good idea to do when you're doing this is inspect your trunk, as it's a known area of rust on fieros. If you see it eating through here on either side, then you know that there is a little bit of rust going on. You're going to have some rust issues with the car. So, going to be a little bit of cleaning up to be doing here. And then we'll go laying the new carpet in. Alright guys, just for comparison purposes, I've laid the new carpet over the old just to check and see how they stack up measurement wise. And judging by what I'm seeing here, they are very, very close. Even what I was concerned about here with this jagged cut here seems to be following more or less the lines of the original carpet. And they kind of overlay each other almost perfectly. But here we can actually see a really good example of the difference. And this is the backing of the original carpet. This is the backing of the new carpet. It is a much heavier rubberized material. Seems to be like this is going to be much more durable than the original carpet. Even though the original lasted 40 years. And I'm really only changing it because it's, filthy. So, looks like so far we've got a pretty good match. Now I got to go and clean out that trunk before I start laying this new one in.
Okay guys, we're back here with the carpeting. We just gave it a quick vacuum off, just because it had a bunch of loose fibers and whatnot that probably comes from the manufacturing process. And then when it's packed up, so we want to vacuum it all out to make it nice and clean. And now we're just going to take another little look at the similarities and differences in the carpeting. Now you can see that the cuts are different in a few places. Now how that's going to affect the installation, I don't know yet. Something we're going to see when we start putting it together. One thing we do want to note is that on the, let's just move our tools over. These are all the tools that I mentioned that we're going to need for this installation. We want to take a look at the back of the carpet. You can see the heavy rubberized coating, and here we have our jute carpeting material on the bottom, which is very similar to what was on the original carpeting, although what's on the bottom of this one does seem to be about the same. I think it's about the same. So we're going to go ahead and start laying our carpet in. We've already gone over the trunk. Laid down a little bit of epoxy coating on it just to make sure we don't get any rust going on in there. You can see both our trunk sides are rust free. And now we have the entire trunk sealed up and ready for the carpet installation. Alright guys, now I'm going to show you the process that I'm going to use to put this in there to make it a lot easier to carry. This is your rear trunk wall side toward the back of the car. This entire piece here. That's your floor and that's your firewall side. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to fold in the sides, bring up the back side of it just to make it a little more compact and easier to carry. And then I'm going to bring in this side. This side, and then we're going to bring this in if everything will cooperate and stay where it is. Right there like that. So that then all I have to do is carry this to the car. Okay, now I have the entire thing ready to just drop into the trunk. Now there's going to be quite a bit of cutting that's involved to make everything fit right, but right now we just want to get it in there and see if it'll conform to the shapes we need before we start cutting anything. Okay guys, that's the carpet installed. We're gonna let it sit there for a few days so that it kind of conforms to the trunk shape instead of being flat, because it's not a perfect fit. It's gonna require a bit of work to get it to sit just right. But looks pretty good once it's in there. So that's where we're going to end part 1 of the carpet install. In part 2, we're going to start measuring out everything a little bit more and maybe to start doing some cutting, as we're going to see exactly what it takes to get this thing to sit perfectly inside the car. But for now, we have a decent fit, not great, but decent. Everything seems to go where it's supposed to. The molded areas seem to be sitting right where they're supposed to. This side, the rear trunk side, let me give you guys a better look. Okay, now the rear trunk portion of it, where it sits over the striker, we're not going to get that to sit right because we have to cut the holes in it in order to get it to fit the striker. So that we're never going to get a perfect fit on. Where I am concerned is where the trunk folds here and here. Let me give you guys a little light. I am concerned a little bit with the fit here, where you have the two side areas here where it goes into the deep well, and there seems to be a little bit of an overlap of carpeting here on each side, but for the rest of it seems to be
going pretty well. We may have to apply a little heat to help it conform a little bit more to the shape of the trunk. But overall, not too bad. So anyway, guys, I'm going to end this video right here. And in part 2 of this series, we're going to finish this trunk insulation, cut everything, put everything back in, and we'll let you know whether it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But so far, looking pretty good. Alright guys, I'll see you on the next one.